Imagine, if you will, the smell of a warm winter day in an American city, the faint aroma of coal smoke mingling with the promise of fermentation, a sweet, almost comforting scent hanging heavy over the docks. Now imagine that scent becoming a terrifying, rushing wall of thick brown liquid, moving at the speed of a train, crushing everything in its path. On January 15, 1919, in Boston's North End, the impossible happened. A deadly flood, not of water, but of molasses. The stage for this bizarre disaster was set by the United States Industrial Alcohol Company, which had erected a colossal storage tank near the harbor, managed by its subsidiary Purity Distilling. The company was in a frantic rush to produce industrial alcohol, used in everything from munitions to early spirits before Prohibition fully kicked in, and the raw material was dark, viscous molasses imported from the Caribbean. The tank itself was an imposing structure, 50 feet high and 90 feet in diameter, capable of holding an astronomical 2.3 million gallons of the sticky liquid. Crucially, the tank was structurally unsound. Residents living near the site, particularly the children, had already noticed that the tank perpetually leaked, with thin brown streaks oozing from the seams. Complaints were dismissed as minor nuisances by company officials focused on maximizing output. The day before the disaster, a shipment of warm molasses had been pumped into the tank, raising the temperature of the contents. The sudden influx of warmer liquid, combined with the slightly warmer weather on the day of the disaster, caused the mixture inside the already strained tank to rapidly expand. The iron walls, which investigators would later prove were only half an inch thick and had been riveted incorrectly without proper testing, could not take the pressure. At exactly 12:30 p.m., in the middle of the lunch hour, the tank failed catastrophically. The sound was reportedly heard across the North End, a tremendous metallic roar, like a thunderclap or a machine gun firing rapidly, followed by a terrifying liquid groan. The massive shell of the tank ripped apart, and 2.3 million gallons of molasses exploded outward in a destructive wave. The force was staggering. Scientific estimations suggest the initial wave moved at approximately 35 miles per hour and rose to a height of nearly 25 feet. The impact was immediate and devastating. The wave slammed into the support column of the elevated railway, buckling the steel girders and almost causing the train tracks to collapse. A nearby firehouse, Engine 31, was completely pulverized, and several firemen were killed instantly. Tenement buildings were lifted off their foundations, shattered, and swept away. The sheer thickness and stickiness of the molasses made it an almost inescapable trap. People, horses, and wagons were knocked down and immediately submerged. Unlike water, which disperses, the molasses was heavy, rapidly cooled by the winter air, and became even more dense, trapping its victims in a suffocating embrace. Horses drowned instantly in the heavy syrup, and 21 people lost their lives, killed by the blunt force trauma of the wave or by drowning in the dense flood. Over 150 people were injured. The rescue and cleanup operation was a bizarre nightmare. Rescuers, slipping and sliding in the ankle-deep goo, struggled to wade through the treacherous substance to reach victims. Firefighters had to use saltwater hoses from the harbor to slowly break down the molasses, washing the streets and docks with a slurry of brine and sugar. The cleanup took weeks, involving hundreds of people, and lasting until the summer. For decades afterward, Boston residents claimed that on hot days, the sweet, heavy scent of molasses could still be detected wafting from the wooden piers and alleyways. The aftermath led to one of the longest and most complex civil suits in Massachusetts history. The U.S. Industrial Alcohol Company tried to blame the disaster on Italian anarchists, claiming a bomb had detonated, a desperate attempt to avoid responsibility. However, the evidence of shoddy construction and negligent oversight was overwhelming. After 3 years of hearings and technical testimony, the court found the company entirely responsible.
The Great Boston Molasses Flood thus became a foundational legal precedent, marking a pivotal moment in American law when a major corporation was held financially accountable for the deadly consequences of its structural negligence. It remains the only time in history a city has been hit by a deadly tsunami of sugary syrup.